Hello, my name is Jack Cobourn. I am the founder and CEO of Alsatian Productions, and for this 10th Founders Vlog, I was kind of stuck on what to talk about. But, as with the first Founders Vlog, we talked about the ethos of Alsatian Productions. I think today it's important to talk about the philosophy of Alsatian Productions. Now, a couple months ago, I was beginning to put together the work for a couple of the first series for the channel. And I was contacting game developers to see if I could get demos of their games, just to, pad the schedule while I figured everything out. I emailed a Korean game developer, and gosh, I am really sorry that I forget what your name is or what your game was. It's still in my email inbox, and I will be, taking a look at it sooner rather than later. And what I told him was that Alsatian Productions had been almost 10 years in the making at this point. And to be true, that is, absolutely true on that regard. Alsatian Productions, of course, I'd begun to talk about it in late 2020, but the seeds of Alsatian Productions were formed way back in December 2018. I went to visit my friend Mike, who was home from college for Christmas, and we were just hanging out. He was playing the latest Doom on his computer, and we had it hooked up to his television, and I was watching him play, and he goes, "Do you want to play?" And I said, "No, I'm not really good at Doom. I'm not really good at first-person shooters, but I'll just sit here and riff, And his little brother Dave came in. I say little. He's only 5 years younger than, myself. So younger would probably be the better option to say, but here we are. Anyway, we were hanging out too, and we were just sitting in these two comfortable chairs watching Mike play Doom and just riffing about dumb stuff, This is a thing was what we just kept saying. Girls get, Nightmare Before Christmas tattoos. This is a thing. Mercedes are expensive to own. This is the thing. We were just, riffing. Up to this point, I'd never seen a Funhouse video. I never, saw anything where, like Achievement Hunter or anything. So I didn't know about gaming videos. All I really was trying to do was just, have a good time with some friends. And that, I know I must have mentioned that in the ethos of Alsatian Productions, that really this channel is about having fun with your friends. And every Founders Vlog seems like a building up to that by saying, oh, we're putting more episodes of the series in the can. We're going to have, a ton of stuff to get through. And we're coming up with a new series all the time, and to be fair, that is true. We're doing all that. I'm still working out some of the kinks to have my friends on here. Probably the first friend you'll hear from is my friend Emily. Emily and I have been friends for 21 years this September, and I think she and I will, be able to have a good rapport and, good, Game Grumps style chemistry when we finally figure out how we want to do this. Emily unfortunately lives in LA and I live in Delaware, so it's been a bit of a struggle. I'm still trying to figure out what video call software I can use where I can do screen share. If anybody has any tips, leave them in the comments down below. But for me, Alsatian Productions is basically, as I said in the ethos video pretty much, Alsatian Productions is a vanity project, whether I like it to be or not. In my mind, it's not really, but technically it is. I think I'm an interesting enough person that here you are sitting to watch this video and listen to me prattle on about, things. Or watch me play video games poorly and hope, hey, you know what, you'll stick around long enough to see this. It's an ego-driven thing in my world. I don't really mean it to be. It just kind of is. I know this. Any YouTube channel technically is a vanity project, whether, we like to admit it as creators or not. And that's okay. Sometimes it's okay. But here's the philosophy behind Alsatian Productions. Alsatian Productions is a creative adventure, not creative venture, creative adventure, with all the twists and turns and thrills and spills and slices and dices that any good adventure should go on. Alsatian Productions originally was supposed to start in 2024, but life got in the way after about 6 episodes of Pieces of Pap and not a whole lot else on the original Alsatian Productions channel. Today I'm turning that into my own personal gaming channel, which will, once I can get Alsatian Productions to a place where I can start playing games that I, would enjoy playing, I will move on to that channel a little bit more and do more with that. But that's not the point of this video. The point of this video is to talk about basically what we do here at Alsatian Productions and how we're going to achieve our goals. And the first goal of Alsatian Productions that we are working to achieve is being able to bring people onto the staff, to be able to play more games and live up to the ethos that this is a game channel for fun with friends. I know you've heard my voice these past 10 weeks, and I really do thank you for watching as many videos as you have. I really do appreciate it. We're up to 8 subscribers, and 2 game developers have commented on my video for their games or on Pieces of Pap, so that, is just, a shot in the arm to keep me, going at this time. But the goal is to be able to bring people onto staff. Now, as with any, big business idea that anybody has, we all have the dream staff going for us. I mean, I have 10 people, including myself, already picked out for, the Alsatian Productions staff, the original 10 Alsatian Productions staffers. Saying that, we need to be able to grow the channel to make some money to pay these people so we can have this staff. So we're working on this. We're inching closer. Inching being the operative word. We're figuring things out as we go. As I've said before, we will be branching onto Twitch. We'll do some live streaming once I can get all that figured out. Right now, like I said, we're trying to get stuff in the can so that way we have time to experiment and play around. We're also going to jump onto things like Patreon at some point again. I just want to be able to build the schedule so that I have stuff ready to go and I can then devote some time to figuring out Twitch and Patreon and filming new series with new people and, exploring and having a good time doing it. But the first philosophy of Alsatian Productions ties somewhat into this goal. And it is a flip on the line, see the forest for the trees. You can't see the forest for the trees. You can't see the bigger picture because you're so wrapped up in this one small, minute detail, you can't see the bigger picture. I think it should be at least for the Alsatian Productions, it should be backwards. You can't see the trees for the forest. You're so focused on the big picture, you're missing the trees. You're missing the people that make up the bigger picture. If you've ever seen the 1986 film Ferris Bueller's Day Off, they go to the Art Institute of Chicago on this magnificent day off, and they're, walking around the exhibits, and the Dream Academy's instrumental version of the Smiths' Please, Please Let Me Get What I Want is playing in the background. And Cameron Fry, played by the great Alan Ruck, is staring at a painting painted by Georges Seurat, and it's called A Sunday Afternoon on the Island of Le Grand Jatte, or, as many people unfortunately name it, Sunday in the Park with George. Don't know why, some people just kind of remember it as that. Probably because it's easier to say than Island of Le Grand Jatte. And what it is it's a painting done in the pointillist technique, which is a bunch of little dots painted that make up the painting. It's basically a bajillion little dots that make up this painting of people sitting on the banks of the Seine, enjoying themselves on a Sunday. But the camera zooms in, it takes a look at Cameron, it zooms in, and it keeps zooming in further and further, and I'm not intentionally trying to create an ASMR video by coming at the screen. But it gets down to the nitty-gritty, the pointillist, dots on the thing. And I think that's a perfect metaphor for how how whole countries should be run. We should stop looking at the big picture at the moment in time. We're too focused on the big picture to see what's going on at this moment in time. We're too focused on the grand scheme to see the people that we need to come up with the grand scheme. Are the people okay? No. And that's honestly the philosophy of Alsatian Productions. It's a company run by people, for the amusement of people. Again, it's a vanity project. We're not changing the world here by playing video game videos. We're not. But we might, at least make your day a little bit better and a little bit, fun. And maybe, we, kick, we give you the kick to kick the rest of the world, around because, that's how we are. That's how I am. I want to kick around the rest of the world, for as long as I can. But it's the viewpoint of the individual trees make up the forest. The individual people will make up Alsatian Productions. We talk about, Elon Musk becoming the world's first trillionaire. Congratulations. Who cares, honestly? The next headline should have been, and paid his employees with some of that, a lot of that $1 trillion, and, help them succeed in what they wanted to do. I know it's a crazy theory that, hey, maybe, sharing the wealth is the way to go. And that is basically what I want to do with Alsatian Productions. The whole staff will get paid the same. Me, all the way down to the guy who takes care of the trash cans at the end of the day. But that will also be me, taking care of the trash cans at the end of the day, because this is the second philosophy I've always believed in for both my entire working career and Alsatian Productions, and it's this. Total Office. Now, what is Total Office? Now, Total Office is an offshoot of Dutch Total Football, or Total Football. And Total Football was created by a guy named Rinus Michels, who was the coach of a team called AFC Ajax in the late 1960s. And he had a player named Johan Cruyff. Now, for soccer fans, you're going, yeah, okay, Cobourn, we all know this. And if you've seen my Retro Gaming Weekly World Cup videos with the Netherlands playing in them, you know this too. So, but total football is to distill it down to its simplistic thing, because I've been talking for 15 minutes at this point. You probably don't want to hear me prattle on until minute 30 about this, but here we are. Total football is this. If I'm the striker and the defender gets the ball and passes it forward to me, I can shoot the ball, or the defender can run past me, shoot the ball himself, and I can duck back down to defense and wait for the inevitable comeback or the goal. It's a simple. Nobody is, one person. Nobody is the sweeper. Nobody is the center mid. Nobody is the center forward. We all have positions that we can play. And I've always believed in this. There's two philosophies I've taken from sport for my entire working life. One of them is the grand triumvirate of Ross Brawn, Jean Todt, and Michael Schumacher for Scuderia Ferrari's Formula One team in the early 2000s, which is communication is key, and feedback is key, and whether or not you can take that feedback and use it effectively. If you can't use it effectively, and you can't, use that feedback to gain perspective on how to do something, then you are up a river heading towards the falls with no paddle and no brakes in sight. The secret to the whole Ferrari triumvirate with Schumacher, Todt, and Brawn was that they talked to each other and they communicated. Schumacher, statistically, is one of the world's greatest drivers of all time. I will never doubt him, and I don't have the natural talent he has to drive a car. But compared to somebody like Mika Hakkinen, well, a lot of people say Schumacher wasn't as good as Mika Hakkinen. But he worked at it, and he worked at that skill, and worked at being able to decipher exactly what might not have been perfect with his Ferrari, and was able to communicate it to his team to figure out the problem. And communication is key. And when you combine that with total football, where anybody can slot into any position on the field at any given time, it makes for a perfect sense for how to run something. And that's how Alsatian Productions is going to run. If I want to take a vacation, I know that the next person down the line can step into my role for that time I am on vacation. And when I come back, if they want to take the vacation, I can step into their role to let them take the vacation. If my staff needs to take maternity or paternity leave, I can be able to step into that role and make sure everything is taken care of, so they can focus on being able to, take time for their children and all that kind of stuff. That's the goal of Alsatian Productions, is to have a company where everybody works together for the common goal. That's almost communism in a way. Works together for the common goal of being able to produce content, have a good time doing it, not take ourselves too seriously, and enjoy what we do. Because if you can enjoy what you do for a living, it's not work. It's fun. It's, and everybody will get paid the exact same way. But we need to make the money to make it happen. And so this is basically what I'm about to say. I am going to devote myself to Alsatian Productions for the next year and 4 months. December 1st, 2027 is not a hard deadline. The channel's not going to end on December 1st, 2027 if we don't get anywhere with it. But I'm going to work as hard as I possibly can while still keeping a day job and still being able to play tennis and still, doing whatever it is that I want to make sure that I provide you guys with the best possible content so that when I say, hey, come join us live on Twitch at such and such a time as I play this game, you guys will come over and you will be able to see what we're doing. And when I am able to finally say, hey, if you want to see Patreon exclusive content, here's our Patreon, here's how much it costs, and it's going to be one fee across the board. There's no tiers. It's going to be one fee across the board, and everybody who wants to pay will be able to see this exclusive content. And I think that's the fairest way of doing it. I don't really feel like we should have a $25 tier and a $100 tier and a $5 tier and a $1 tier, and you guys don't get to see all the content. I think you should be able to see the content for one price, a reasonable price, and it won't all be the same thing, because I don't think that's fair either. We'll experiment and we'll try stuff on YouTube, and then if you guys like it, we'll bring it on to Patreon, and we'll try more of that kind of stuff too. But that is it. That's the philosophy of Alsatian Productions, is that that I want to be able to grow this company and make it work for all of us, and be able to have a staff, to have different voices, to have different opinions on these games. I mean, I'm not a first-person shooters guy. My friend Mike, he's a first-person shooters guy. He should be playing the demo derbies of the first-person shooters and being able to, say, oh, this is good, this is bad, rather than me going, this sucks. The controls are terrible. And, I'm not good with the controls. I'm the guy who tried to set up CSGO for a controller, and it didn't work. I was going to film CSGO, and it didn't work. But having those different opinions, and those different reviews, and those different voices, I think, would really benefit the channel. But I need to be able to, grow the channel, to bring the people on, to continue to expand the channel. It's a vicious circle, but I'm going to try to get it to work. So anyway, you have heard enough of me prattling on about what I'm going to do, and I'm going to get back to doing it for you. This week, of course, we've had, pieces of pap, a couple good demos. We're still trying to figure out Sonic the Hedgehog, but we'll get there. I have a feeling, now I'm recording this before I do Sonic the Hedgehog and before I do The Adventures of Elliot, but I have a feeling I'm going to continue to get minced by that boss in The Adventures of Elliot, and I have a feeling that I'm going to enjoy but also struggle with Sonic the Hedgehog, and we're going to see how that works out for us. But there it is. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. This has been the Founders Vlog for the week of August 3rd, 2026. As always, my name is Jack Cobourn. I really do appreciate your time. Please do like and subscribe. Hit that notification bell to be notified of our next video. If you do subscribe, leave a comment down below telling us you've subscribed, and we'll follow your channel right back, because you know what? That seems the fairest way to do things. You were nice enough to follow me. I want to be nice enough to follow you, and I want to see what you guys can come up with, too. Thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your week, and we'll see you next week for the next Founders Vlog. Bye-bye. This has been a presentation of Alsatian Productions. Blah, blah, blah.